In the world of K-pop, you'll come to learn for many years, K-pop's three biggest companies, otherwise known as Big Three, were SM Entertainment, YG Entertainment, and JYP Entertainment. With a long debated topic of who is the fourth or who's going to overthrow one of the big three and such, but those ideas can be saved for another video. Hello everyone, my name is Derek, otherwise known as DareDB, and I'm here today bringing you the second K-pop debate topic where I asked the question, does the K-pop Big Three privilege exist? Is it a myth? Is it a simple phrase for K-pop stans who stan artists outside of the big three to use to bring down the artists from the big companies to make themselves feel better? Okay. I have had this topic idea in mind for many months now, and I'm finally tackling it. For this video, I wanted to share my thoughts on this long debated topic and see how it all started, how has it evolved, and the myths and merits associated with it, and see if it's a thing or relevant today. So let's get started. First, let's start with what is the Big Three privilege? Well, it's long argued that the companies and artists from K-pop's three biggest labels are more quote-unquote privileged when it comes to more resources available to them, given more priority when it comes to music shows and such, guaranteed success in the industry, get away with a lot more things, and the list goes on. For this, I want to organize this with different arguments and statements and see how each fare and hold up. Number 1. K-pop artists from the big three don't have to work as hard. To me, that's not true. All K-pop artists work hard. Schedules are jam-packed, shows, practices, concerts, appearances, interviews, variety, and social media work, and so much more. This is found with every artist in the K-pop world, not exclusive to the underrated acts or the big three ones either. Some more so than others, but there's no free ride. Number 2. Big three artists get more during their training. Well, yes, the bigger the company, the more money and resources these companies have. Keep in mind, the big three companies are public in the Korean stock exchange and have a lot of shareholders. They have a reputation to maintain, and they need to satisfy their investors by making money. It's business. Of course, they're going to invest in these trainees in producing quality artists in dancing, singing, acting, and a visual appeal. That's expected, and it's apparent that they do get a better treatment in regards to this. Let me point out that the trainees have to work quite hard to get into these companies and even debut from them. It's a huge feat and accomplishment, and if you do, consider that a huge success for yourself. Number 3. Big three companies have more pull and priority when it comes to music shows. Well, actually, I agree with this, but a lot of it stems from what I just said in the previous point. It comes down to power and money. The big three companies have built a legacy and reputation in the entertainment industry in the last 20 years. They typically have a lot more artists, all very popular on some level, and these artists bring ratings. When it comes to a debut of a new artist from the big three, all eyes are on this new group to make sure that they continue to uphold the company's reputation. The companies have more money to make sure that they get the prime spot and best stage, but at the same time, there's also a stroke when it comes to, you show our new artist here and we'll bring you this popular one here sort of thing. There's a lot of negotiation and a lot of pull to make sure that these Korean TV shows and even concerts have the best ratings and attendance for advertisers. It's a big circle and not exclusive to Korea. This is everywhere in the world, because when it comes down to it, it's all about what makes more money whether you like it or not. Number 4. As a big three artist, you automatically get more exposure. Well, when it comes to social media, in the past, the big three labels typically had their own following on various accounts like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. With the exception of YG, the labels typically shared one large account for the YouTube and Twitter, for example. The fact that these large labels had a following, they were able to use their already popular artist success to feature in music videos and premieres and such. And this has gone on for years. Take for example TVXQ's debut at a BoA Christmas special with Britney Spears. Super Junior featured with TVXQ, and trainees would debut in a future group that would show up in a senior's music video, like Victoria appearing in Shiny's Replay. While this is not exclusive to the big three, their reach and influence would have a great effect to the general public than lesser-known labels. Number 5. The big three privilege is becoming less powerful. Before I get started with my points, another K-pop YouTuber named Jessica Viva discussed this topic question in her own video and touched on this interesting point. Now, as I mentioned in previous videos of mine, when it comes to social media and online's presence, the big three's power is mostly present when it comes to Korea. In terms of international power, however, where you come from has less an effect in terms of presence, influence, and reach. You can have a viral hit no matter where you come from these days. Korean media does not have the same influence on international fans when you really think about it. Groups that come from smaller companies are having success in ways that they could have never been possible 10 years ago. As a result, the junior groups from these now bigger companies are now having debuts that are making splashes in ways that were unheard of even 5 years ago. All because of the fact that the K-pop's big three power does not have the same effect on international fans. It's why we're now seeing concerts all over the world. K-pop has become an export culture market since the early 2000s, and the smaller K-pop companies have successfully capitalized on this to make it even profitable for themselves. On another note, when it comes to newfound success, it's worth mentioning that TV shows like Produce 101 have given exposure and popularity to trainees from lesser-known labels. The exposure, as a result, has risen for these companies as well and has enabled the new members of their rookie groups to reach success that was most likely not possible years ago. Number 6. K-pop artists from the big three is guaranteed success. When it comes to idol groups, I would say yes. Not necessarily the most successful, but they're going to have some value. When it comes to soloists from these companies, however, it's less apparent, unfortunately. But if we're focusing on groups solely, groups from the big three tend to have some level of success, some more so than others. And interestingly, SM is the largest company with the best track record, but there are more recent groups like Red Velvet and NCT are technically being outperformed by other big three groups like Blackpink and Twice to even BTS, who is not even from the big three. And iKON and Winner and GOT7, and when it comes down to it, there are plenty of other K-pop groups who are having success that are at the same level of these big three groups now. BTS, 17, Monsta X, Mamamoo, and G-Friend are all great examples of Gen 3 groups who are seeing success in Korea and internationally outside of the big three. While the big three still might see admirable success, it is not exactly the same caliber or as guaranteed compared to what their predecessors could have done if they were in the same era, if that makes sense. The K-pop arena has changed tremendously in recent years and has changed the playing field of the K-pop acts to succeed, thus making the big three less influential internationally versus Korea to me. Okay, these are just some of my points on this topic and addresses a lot of the myths and arguments when it comes to whether or not it exists. What do you think? Do you think the big three privilege exists? Share your thoughts below and we can have a nice discussion. Did I miss a point? And something else to address. Let's talk. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this next topic of this potential K-pop debate series. Please be sure to subscribe and hit those like and subscribe buttons. Support me on Patreon and follow me on my social media. And while you're here, check out many more of my works and see you next time.